The audience appears to hold its breath as the warm, aching voice starts to sing and the tune of Nights in White Satin floats through the air under the faint stage lights. The silver-haired man with the instrument tucked into his chest doesn't need to stir things up. Time can be stopped with a single sustained note. That man is Justin Hayward, one of the most subtly iconic performers of the 20th century, the renowned vocalist, and the poetic core of the melancholy blues. He wasn't flamboyant like Freddie Mercury, loud like Mick Jagger, or quirky like David Bowie. Instead, Hayward created inner symphonies in which love was proclaimed in music that went beyond the conventions of rock and sorrow was transformed into beauty. From the tiny English manufacturing town of Swindon to the top of the world charts, Justin never lost his individuality. A gloriously melodic spirit that is both delicate and damaged. There were never any scandals in his life that made the news or made the tabloids. Beneath that serene exterior, however, are silent tragedies, a deep sense of loneliness, and a grief that persisted for decades. His journey wasn't a triumphant rock anthem, but rather a poetic epic of dedication to music and to himself, starting when he was a 17-year-old lad bringing a cheap guitar into London and ending when he stood alone on stage saying goodbye to his last bandmate. Justin Hayward is evidence that the best musicians don't always have to shout. The world will still listen if they just whisper. Childhood. On October 14, 1946, Justin Hayward was born in Swindon, a small industrial town in Wiltshire, England. His family was middle class, not poor, but certainly not rich either. His father loved poetry and taught at schools. His mother, on the other hand, was a pragmatic woman who discreetly fostered her son's artistic aspirations. He developed a sensitive, reflective soul in their humble house, where Wordsworth's poetry blended with the sounds of the BBC radio, the very quality that would eventually inspire the poetic beauty of his music. Justin showed early indications of musical ability, although he wasn't considered an unusual child by others. When he was 9 years old, his parents gave him a little gift, an acoustic guitar, that allowed him to imagine a whole new world. He learned to play by ear by imitating the riffs of his favorite British pre-rock band, The Shadows, Buddy Holly, and Elvis Presley. Despite having no formal training, Justin picked up lead guitar rapidly and, by the time he was 11, he was writing songs based only on gut and unfiltered emotion. Dreaming, loneliness, and a desire to get away from the confines of his small-town existence were all part of his adolescent years. He participated in charity concerts, local fairs, and student bands while attending Commonwealth School. Justin, however, never really fit in there. He wanted to do more than just perform music. He desired to be defined by it, to live through it, and to live inside it. Thus, at the age of 17, Justin Hayward left Swindon for London by himself, while the majority of his contemporaries were still struggling with exams and university selection. His bag contained a stack of self-recorded demos, a battered guitar, and several sets of clothes. A young man's baggage, where he gambles everything on music. Living in cheaply rented apartments, eating instant noodles, writing songs for hire, doing radio jingles, and playing in East End bars made the early years in the city difficult. However, Justin persisted because, deep down, he thought that music would save him at all costs. And that conviction, along with a fortunate break, brought him to a pivotal moment that altered everything. After lead singer Denny Laine left the band, the Moody Blues, who were looking for a new direction, ended up with one of his demos. Nobody could have predicted that the quiet Swindon guy would end up being their new soulmate and the one to write the most illustrious chapter in their early career. Justin Hayward had nothing but a guitar, a few self-recorded tracks, and the hazy conviction that music would unlock his destiny when he first came in London in the early 1960s. He quickly agreed to a management contract with one of the era's top skiffle artists, Lonnie Donegan. However, the collaboration ended abruptly because of artistic disagreements. It served as an early introduction to the negative aspects of the music business. Being heard was not always guaranteed by talent. Justin didn't falter, though. He continued to write music, record producers' demo voices, and occasionally play with the Wild Three, a small band that never really made it outside of local venues. He learned how to make it in the business over those years. Singing jingles to pay the rent, battling to get even the tiniest gigs, and staying up all night editing lyrics. However, those jagged edges honed his devotion and made him a silent but unwavering artist. The year 1966 marked a sea change. After lead singer Denny Laine left, the Melancholy Blues, formerly known for their breakthrough song Go Now, were in difficulty. They were looking for a new member and a fresh direction. Justin submitted a demo tape of his original compositions via a mutual friend. One of these was Cities, a song that was completely different from the popular music of the era with its dreamy melody and bizarre lyrics. The band's keyboardist, Mike Pinder, was enthralled right away. Justin received an audition invitation shortly after. The teenage musician startled the band by playing one of his own compositions while holding his red ES-335 guitar and wearing a determined expression. They witnessed more than just a guitarist or singer. They witnessed a soulful performer who had the ability to extract the somber blues from the shadows. Mike's longtime buddy John Lodge joined the band shortly after, rounding out the now iconic lineup. With that, the unidentified Swindon lad formally joined the Moody Blues, starting a musical adventure that would alter not just his life but also the course of rock in the 1960s. Fly Me High, a light, psych-pop-infused song typical of that early era, was the first recording to include Justin. Despite not being a huge economic success, it marked the beginning of the Moody Blues' new creative approach, which was characterized by surrealism, emotion, and intelligence. A look that Justin Hayward would eventually fully adopt. There was no question after that. Justin was more than simply a lead singer and guitarist. He was the catalyst that brought the Moody Blues out of their rut and into a creative renaissance that had never been experienced by the group or the genre. Professional achievement. The Moody Blues embarked on a daring new chapter just a year after Justin Hayward joined the group. They were visionary, poetic, and completely different from their peers. Days of Future Past, released in 1967, was a groundbreaking record that combined a complete classical orchestra with contemporary rock. Justin Hayward created a dreamy, reflective, and surreal musical universe during a period when the majority of bands were enmeshed in R&B, blues, or the anti-war movement. Written at the age of 19, Nights in White Satin was included at the end of the album and went on to become a timeless classic. The song became a worldwide smash and a representation of a musical era influenced by philosophy and the desire to transcend reality because of its sweeping mellotron, lyrical romanticism, and emotionally driven vocals. This achievement cleared the path for a number of now iconic albums. Spiritual exploration, cosmic amazement, and identity issues are explored in Search of the Lost Chord, 1968. Justin shined through with his captivating harmonies and Love to See You on the Verge of a Dream in 1969. A moving vision of humanity's future in 1969, To Our Children's Children's Children. A Balanced Question, 1970. Existential, political, and a change in how they tell stories. For a generation divided between hope and disappointment, each of these albums served as a musical manifesto. Justin Hayward, who contributed the lyrics, melodies, and emotional core of the Melancholy Blues, was at the center of that journey. His songs were never ostentatious or boisterous, rather, they were like letters whispered into the listener's innermost thoughts. The somber blues suddenly took a break in the early 1970s with the release of their seventh album, Seventh Sojourn, in 1972. All of the members, including Justin, were spiritually exhausted after over 10 years of unrelenting innovation. He once acknowledged that we had lost sight of our course. In this time frame, Justin and John Lodge collaborated to release Blue Jays, 1975. Tracks like Remember Me, My Friend, and Maybe continued to display his distinctive lyrical intimacy and nostalgic tone in this gloomy yet beautiful symphony, which is considered one of his best compositions. Additionally, Justin recorded the eerie ballad Forever Autumn for Jeff Wayne's 1978 novel The War of the Worlds during this period. The project's themes of lost love made Justin's voice an indispensable component. The song achieved a significant solo milestone outside of the Moody Blues by soaring into the UK top 5. The Moody Blues got back together and put out Octave in 1978. Even though the band's heyday was past, they remained true to their artistic vision, especially under Justin's subdued direction. With Hayward penned singles like The Voice, 1981, and Your Wildest Dreams, 1986, their music saw a radio comeback in the 1980s. Justin never followed the market, even when musical trends changed over time. Subtle, introspective, and unaffected by commercial compromise. His songwriting continued to be an emotional journal. He constantly toured North America, Europe, and Australia with the Melancholy Blues, introducing his timeless music to millions of people of all ages. A well-deserved honor for a half-century of music, Justin Hayward and the Moody Blues were elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. However, the Moody Blues quietly ended a legendary chapter that had been developing for more than 50 years when drummer Graham Edge passed away in 2021, just a few years later. The final man standing, Justin, didn't throw a lavish tribute or make a farewell announcement. With a bag full of memories and a guitar in hand, he just continued on. Personal life. Justin Hayward's voice is the voice of classic ballads that bring audiences to tears on stage. Off stage, though, he has decided to lead a modest, secluded existence that makes him nearly invisible. He has been an artist for more than 50 years, yet he has never been involved in a public love scandal. Unlike many of his peers, he has never had his private life scrutinized by newspapers. However, that does not imply that his life has been easy. Justin married Marie Hayward, a non-entertainer, in 1970 when he was 24 years old. They shared a cottage in a remote West Sussex woodland, far from the bustle of the spotlight. In one of his seldom personal interviews, Justin claimed that Marie was someone who appreciated stillness and put up with a husband who was constantly absorbed in his own thoughts. Dorothy Hayward, whose name echoes musical destiny, was the couple's only child. Dorothy would later pursue a career in graphic design, helping to create visual concepts for her father's tours as well as album artwork. Their relationship has remained strong and intimate. One of Justin's few emotional pillars in his otherwise silently troubled life. However, Marie has been conspicuously missing from Justin's public appearances and musical performances since the early 2000s. In keeping with Justin's character, others close to the family have subtly disclosed that the two had split up. When the harmony wanes, there should be no drama or spectacle, just a soft retreat. Although he has never publicly verified anything, his voice has wavered in recent interviews when he has mentioned unreliable information. Justin, who is now in his latter years, lives alone and travels between his house and concerts often. He always has his guitar, a few books, and a quiet that no one really notices. His marriage has not been the only loss in his personal life. His long-standing bandmate and close friend from the early days of Melancholy Blues, Ray Thomas, died of prostate cancer in 2018. Graham Edge, the band's drummer and the only other original member except Justin, passed away 3 years later at the age of 80. When we perform, I still look to the right where Graham used to sit, said Justin, who is currently the lone person still on stage. I maintain the rhythm as though I were playing with him again, even though he is no longer there. The people who formerly stood by Justin Hayward's side to help shape music history have gradually vanished, leaving him to endure loneliness while remaining steadfast in his love of music. No scandals, no tumultuous affairs, no drunken outbursts. Nevertheless, his spirit is still marked with cracks, and the only thing that may mend them is music. Legacy and influence. When people discuss British rock icons of the 1960s and 1970s, names like Mick Jagger, David Bowie, and John Lennon typically spring to mind. These individuals rocked the world with their audacious statements and rebellious imagery. However, Justin Hayward took a different route, armed with a crimson ES-335 guitar and a voice that sounded like midnight whispers. It was modest and slow, yet it was so profound and long-lasting that it could not be replaced. For more than 50 years, Justin served as the Moody Blues lead vocalist and principal songwriter, leaving a lasting musical legacy. Sung in the language of poetry and surrounded by orchestral orchestration, songs like Nights in White Satin, Tuesday Afternoon, Question, The Voice, and I Know You're Out There Somewhere were more than just successes, they were epics of consciousness, time, and lost love. As a result of these contributions, Hayward and the Moody Blues are regarded as progressive rock pioneers. Later legends like Pink Floyd, Genesis, Yes, and Radiohead were inspired by their musical experiments, which combined classical, electronic, and philosophical components. Justin has never been loud in the media, but his legacy runs deep in popular culture, said Stephen Wilson, a prominent player in contemporary prog rock. Nights in White Satin has appeared in numerous TV shows and movies, including Mad Men, A Bronx Tale, and The Big Chill. His and the Moody Blues' long overdue but well-earned induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came in 2018. In recognition of his enduring contributions to British music and culture, Justin was named an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, or OBE, in 2022. He is more than just a musician, he is a defender of romanticism in a world that is becoming more and more practical. Justin stayed true to his lyrical, introspective, humanistic, and highly personal songwriting even as the music industry became digital, transient, and algorithm-driven. Each of his ballads felt like a journal entry that was locked in just slightly open to allow the listener to feel and comprehend. It's remarkable that, in spite of his immense influence, Justin never looked to fame or authority for approval. He has no personal social media presence, rarely appeared on television, and declined multiple commercial opportunities. He continues to live by the one thing that really matters: sincere music that is raw, unpretentious, and always in style, in a world where musicians feed on likes and followers. Current circumstances. Justin Hayward, who is over 75, is still active, but not on large stages but rather in small, dimly lit concert venues where he performs by himself with his guitar. Many of his contemporaries have retired or are living off the glow of their former glory. The songs that once captivated the globe are whispered faintly. Justin offered no final remarks or effusive tributes after the Moody Blues formally halted operations in 2021 after drummer Graham Edge passed away. Rather, he suddenly became a completely self-sufficient artist, carrying on with his writing, touring, and performing as though nothing had happened. He started the Blue World Tour in 2024 and performed in locations across North America, including Florida, New Jersey, and New York. He brought back ballads that were ingrained in the listener's mind in these intimate and passionate performances. Tuesday Afternoons, Forever Autumn, and, of course, Nights in White Satin. Longtime partners like guitarist Mike Dawes and keyboardist Julie Reagan shared the stage with them, bringing these timeless tunes to life. Nearly 60 years of steadfast passion to music were celebrated as Justin expanded the solo tour The Blue World with 15 big performances across the US at the start of 2025. He did more than just sing during his performances. He shared tales of writing songs in desolate American hotel rooms, remembering Ray Thomas, or how, one afternoon in 1966, he composed Nights in White Satin while watching the sunset over Swindon. Offstage, Justin lives a peaceful, outdoor existence away from the spotlight. He lives in a southern England woods property where time appears to stand still. No provocative remarks, no social media. He uses newsletters, handwritten letters, and frank behind-the-scenes videos to engage with audience. In order to maintain his reputation as a really autonomous artist, his daughter Dorami manages the production and design elements of his tours. It's amazing that at 78, Justin still composes his own songs, organizes his tours, chooses his set selections, and controls his public persona. He no longer views music as a platform for praise. It is a private custom that helps him maintain ties to his identity, memories, and the deceased. In an Uncommon interview, he revealed, "An audience is know one thing for certain when he steps onto the stage with his worn guitar, silver hair, and gentle smile. The music has never left Justin, and Justin has never left the music." Justin Hayward is not the type of artist whose ostentatious style makes you tremble, laugh, or rejoice. With just one line, he has the ability to silence you and then make you cry in private. He continues to follow a lonely route, writing from the heart, singing through loneliness, and living with steadfast devotion to passion in a world of music that is becoming louder and more forgettable by the day. Justin hasn't really changed from the adolescent who left Swindon with a beat-up guitar to the last guy standing in the dark blues. That voice and guitar are still the same. Now, every note he plays carries with it a new layer of recollection, a new shade of longing, and a new moment of silence. He has never begged for sympathy or praise, yet it is precisely this modesty that makes him one of the most sincere and admired individuals in British music. Justin Hayward never really left the hearts of music lovers, which may be why he never needs to say goodbye. Tell us if you've ever been hushed by endless fall, lost yourself in Nights in White Satin, or just wanted a place to put your feelings to rest. Which song by Justin Hayward has stuck with you the most? Where did you hear him for the first time? After all these years, what music still calls to you? Leave a comment with your tale. Because eternal music are composed of memories that cannot be erased, we want to hear it.